Welcome to Keep It Moving with Marcia Jews, WEAA, your source for cool jazz and the voice of the community. Tonight I have the honor and the privilege of interviewing two highly effective and intelligent black men who have a lot to say about the state of the black community, our children and the policing in our communities, and the deaths of our sons and our daughters. Both of them are remarkable, and author. Our first guest will be author Dr. Marc Lamont Hill. He's also a journalist on CNN and BET. He's a professor. And David Miller, who's an author, entrepreneur, and educator. We're not going to wait any further. We only have Marc Lamont Hill for a short period of time, and we want to take advantage of every moment. And you can read all of his bio on marclamonthill.com. Marc Hill, your book, Nobody Had Me Mesmerized.
Wow.
I'm serious.
Thank you.
I am so serious. And one of the things that really... My listeners know me. I'm very emotional a lot. But this whole piece where you did the tribute, before you can even get it through the books, ladies and gentlemen, he starts off and gives a tribute to two Michaels that he really has a lot of respect for. And one of those was Michael Dyson. But he has a tribute to Michael Brown, who died on August the 9th, 2014, so that a new generation of freedom fighters could live. This is just the beginning of how this book takes us into the depths of redlining, segregation, zoning, policing, and how our government has systematically dealt with our community. It is a powerful, powerful book.
Wow. Well, thank you. It was important for me to set the tone of the book by dedicating the book, obviously, to people. Michael Eric Dyson, of course, the kind of intellectual force and mentor for me as a young academic, as I matured into a grown academic. Mm-hmm. And Mike Brown, for me, marks a shift in how we talk and think about this freedom struggle. We've been dying for a long time. We've never stopped dying at the hands of the state.
Right.
But on August 9th, 2014, something special happened. Just like Emmett Till on August 28th, 1955, when he died. Mm-hmm. And a nation of people and a generation of people say, I've had enough because of the courage of Emmett Till, and they begin the new phase of civil rights struggle. What we saw on August 9th was a generation of people saying, we've had enough. Right. Sean Bell's already happened, and Oscar Grant's already happened, and Trayvon Martin's already happened, and those deaths matter because their lives are significant. We've had enough. And the death of Michael Brown, which was mediated throughout the world as he lay there for 4 hours in Canfield, became the moment where this generation of freedom fighters said, we've had enough. And since that moment, we have had the most sustained and committed resistance movement against state violence in American history. And for that, we give thanks and we continue to struggle.
I think one of the most powerful things is that you so eloquently marched through our history.
Yes.
And the history, this should be mandatory reading for every school system around the world, but certainly across this nation, in really getting an understanding of how people are tired and why the cry of Black Lives Matter really means something to us, because they mattered to us.
Right. Right, and they've always mattered to us.
They've always mattered to us.
And, it's so important to me to tell that history because, we can look at these cases as isolated. And when you look at them as isolated cases, it might seem like bad luck or bad choices or bad circumstances.
Oh, he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing.
Exactly. But the truth is, if Mike Brown doesn't get killed by Darren Wilson, as I talk about in Chapter 5 of the book, there's a really good chance he still ends up in the crosshairs of law enforcement. There's a good chance he still ends up in jail. Freddie Gray doesn't die in the back of that Baltimore police wagon. He still may have ended up back in jail again, not because they're bad people or because they're criminals or because, any of those things are true. It's because we have a system that almost seeks out and needs black bodies, male and female, in the criminal justice system. Mm-hmm. We have a system that creates these interactions. Mike Brown, long before he was killed by Darren Wilson, was a victim of the Normandy School District.
Yes.
But long before, which failed him, long before, he died bear a slow death in the school district, he was part of a public housing system which has essentially collapsed. And long before he was born to be in public housing, Emerson Electric was fading away out of St. Louis. So the jobs were leaving, the money was leaving, the tax base was leaving, the schools were leaving. And so, all of this happens to you when the state considers you nobody. Mm-hmm. And so the nobodiness that we saw in Mike Brown when he lay on that floor for 4 hours was just a snippet of a broader set of processes that rendered him nobody by the state, that rendered him nobody by the community, that rendered him nobody by the criminal justice system, that rendered him nobody by a market-based economy that has become increasingly obsessed with individual wealth, individual profit-making, an obsession with the private interest over the public good. And when you have all of that happening, it's tough to make it.